Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on Optimus Games, and today we're going to be talking about the big split that has been pretty much dominating the headlines here in the last couple hours, and that is because Bungie, the people behind both Destiny and Halo, have finally split from Activision, and this is a big move. This is very industry-shaking, and overall, this is something that has been seen with relative excitement by the gaming community, especially those who are a little bit closer to these communities, obviously Destiny fans, Halo fans, even fans of Activision games like myself. I'm glad to see that this is going down, even though I don't play any Bungie games, because this is a very good signal, okay? Both on Activision's part and with Bungie, because both sides have some new developments going on around this split that could possibly be leading to some changes down the road for both sides. And this isn't hopefully going to only affect the Destiny franchise, or if they somehow got Halo back, which a lot of people keep speculating, but you have to keep in mind Bungie does not own the rights to Halo. The Halo franchise actually belongs to 343 Industries, so even though Bungie was involved in the Halo series, especially early on, as we all know, they no longer own the rights. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I know a lot of people have been really excited. They for some reason think they're going to buy back the rights to this game, but I don't know. I don't know about that. Halo is definitely a very huge piece in the gaming industry, and whoever has control of that definitely is going to make money, but I don't see Bungie going out of their way. I mean, they have enough on their plates. They have a new title being released here soon they're working on. Of course, they're working on Destiny. I think they have enough on their plate. So their whole, I guess, rift with Activision really has been going on ever since they were acquired. Now, a big sticking point between the two, especially with the Destiny franchise, is that Bungie has been taking all of this input from Activision for so many years now that has obviously gone over very negatively with the community, considering Activision really doesn't have the consumer in mind, and Bungie has probably felt like their franchise or their games have been meddled with to the point that they don't really feel like it's the game that they wanted it to be. And the reason that I say that is because when this whole separation happened, employees at Bungie were reportedly popping champagne and cheering. Now, I'm just gonna come out here and put it on the record. I don't think that if you're happy with the situation you've been in for years, especially in business, that when you finally break off your contract, if the employees had been happy, I don't think they would have been popping champagne and celebrating the release of the company. So that's why I feel like maybe they felt like they've been completely controlled too much over the last few years, and knowing Activision, that's probably the truth. Looking at Destiny, a lot of people have been disappointed by the franchise. They say that it's not the game they thought it was going to be and that they're really disappointed in it. The game has been pretty controversial when it comes to how it's monetized, the microtransactions, the grinds, the incentives, how they release expansions, all kinds of stuff has been very widely debated in the gaming industry, but I think that going forward, you're going to see a lot of changes in how this works, and this is going to be great for Bungie. They finally have their game back. It's finally taken from the reins of the dirty Activision demons, you know what I'm saying? They finally got their thing back. And with that, I think a lot of people are expecting for the microtransactions and whatnot to kind of be held back on. I don't really know how the situation is with Destiny. I don't play the games, but from what I've heard over the years, it's been pretty bad with how they've monetized the games, and Bungie seems to be kind of going in that opposite direction compared to what Activision was. I mean, they look like they're trying to get it to where they want to build more consumer friendliness, and they want to try and, rebuild that relationship with the community. And it looks like overall they really just want to develop the best Destiny franchise games that they can going forward. And I think that that's really good because Destiny is obviously a huge franchise. It's one of the bigger first-person shooter franchises in the world. And so if you're a Destiny fan who's been disappointed with the last two games and the expansions and how they've handled everything, this is obviously going to be big. Bungie is, fully committed. It seems like they've released a few statements since everything's gone down. They have said that they are committed to releasing the last bits of updates and DLCs and whatnot to Destiny 2. I'm pretty sure a Destiny 3 will be on the way. And hopefully it really highlights something, because if you look at the first two Destiny games, which have been relatively disappointing to a lot of the community. Not to say they were horrible or anything, obviously people enjoyed them, but there was a fair share of criticism to the games too. But when you're going to hopefully be able to compare those two games to the third one, hopefully you're going to see a lot of differences in the way that pretty much everything's handled, because Bungie is a legendary studio. They've developed some of the greatest video games of all time. They know what they're doing, okay? They don't have the problem. Activision was the ones with the problem. And now let's go ahead and I guess switch sides really and look at it from Activision's perspective, okay? okay? Because the company has been receiving a lot of criticism in the last few years, not only with Destiny, but of course with their other franchises. You guys know me, I'm a Call of Duty player. I love the COD franchise, I have since I was a kid, and we've been spitting in Activision's eyes for like 5 years now because Activision just doesn't really have the player's best interest in mind, or at least they didn't. Hopefully something that has recently happened, kind of swept under the rug with the news of this whole Bungie, I guess, split, was that Activision now has a new president. So Bobby Kotick, whatever his name was, the one who really implemented a lot of the very predatory, disturbingly bad microtransactions in a lot of the Activision franchises, has been replaced. The former Blizzard head will leave his staff position, and Activision will now be ran by Rob Kostich, which has been met with a lot of great looks, really, from the community. Now, I'll be really honest with you guys, I don't really know too much about this guy. I've never really done any research on him. I've only heard of him a few times. But he's worked with Activision for 15 years. People say that he really does have the player's best interest in mind. And I'm willing to give him a chance, but I'm hoping that he actually follows through and delivers with some changes. I hope that he actually does put the player in mind first, because if he does, that's going to help all the franchises. And then if you're Activision, of course, this is a massive hit. I mean, there's no other way to put it, but to look at the bright side of it, at least they have a new president, and hopefully he's going to do the right thing by fans in the Call of Duty franchise, and in the several other big franchises that Activision owns. But I mean, if you are Activision, this is obviously a huge hit because Destiny was one of their bigger franchises. I mean, this thing was huge. It was generating them a lot of money, okay? So it was a big cash cow for Activision, and now that they have separated and they no longer retain the rights to the Destiny franchise, they obviously, number one, are going to take a huge financial hit because they're not making money off of one of their bigger franchises anymore. It's gone, and it is belonging to the actual developers of the game, so they're not making that money anymore, at least going forward. You know, I don't know if they're going to make any money off the rest of Destiny 2, if that's in the contract or not, but if there's a Destiny 3, they're not going to make any money off of that, and then you also have taken a huge hit to your game catalog, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Activision owns just a ridiculous amount of different huge gaming franchises, obviously. They own plenty of the top-selling franchises year in and year out. They were making plenty of money off of these games, okay? But now that you've lost this big franchise, and you're losing this income, and you've also taken a hit to your game library. I mean, Destiny 3 will not be an Activision title. It'll be a pretty good selling game. I think it'll probably be one of the better selling games of the year. And now Activision has lost out on that, okay? And this move also, I don't know, I'm just speculating here, might even incentivize other studios to try and buy themselves out or split from Activision too. Now, I'm not saying Call of Duty, all these studios are just gonna like kind of take the rights, buy themselves out and dip, you know what I'm saying? But will this really kind of make the other studios realize that, hey, we have a little bit of power in this situation, you know? Activision doesn't run everything. For instance, will you see Treyarch stand up to the big bad wolf in the room, Activision, and say, we're done with the microtransactions. We want to bring back great Call of Duty microtransactions like the camo packs from BO2 and things like that? I don't think so. In reality, we give a lot of crap to Activision for that, but we don't really look at the studios and realize that they are pretty much just as complacent with it, so I don't see like Call of Duty, for instance, being hit by this too hard. If anything, the move that's going to change how microtransactions work with Activision titles, if they change at all, is the shift in presidents and the shift of their input, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's just going to kind of lead to a big revolt from other studios. I don't think Activision's going to collapse tomorrow and all the studios are just going to start leaving. I don't think that's going to happen, if I'm being frank with you. But I think that this is going to hopefully be a pretty big wake-up call for Activision, that if they keep going in the direction that they are, if they keep disrespecting their fan bases and their studios, if they keep trying to walk on everyone else for their own profit, that it's going to lead to some bad things down the road. I don't think Activision wants to lose out on any more of their big franchises. And in reality, Activision's kind of lucky. I mean, if this could have happened to any other thing, like, let's say all three of the Call of Duty studios kind of just decided to, buy their contracts out or whatnot, and they retain the rights to Call of Duty, that would be a huge hit for Activision, because Destiny isn't the best-selling game every year, but Call of Duty pretty much is. Almost every single year, Call of Duty is the biggest selling game of the year, and if it's not, it's always in second or third place, and then on top of that, the microtransactions rack them in billions. So Activision should be lucky that if they had to take the gunshot, that they didn't take it with Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? That they took it with Destiny. It's still a huge loss, but it's not a Call of Duty size loss. You know what I'm saying? Because Call of Duty is probably Activision's biggest title. And they should be, I guess, kind of afraid, really, that they could lose out on more money if they keep trying to pressure in all of these studios and whatnot. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to the studios to determine whether or not they want to stay under contract. So some of the major reasons for them leaving, or Bungie leaving Activision and separating, number one was Activision was actually forcing them to maintain a strict schedule. Activision said that the Destiny franchise either had to have a new title every fall or it had to have a new major expansion, which means they were trying to basically Call of Duty-ize the franchise and make it this yearly thing where they're just going to basically print free money off of it without regards really for how good the game is. We know how Activision is. We've known this has been going on for a while. These game studios aren't doing it under their own free will. I don't know if that's going to continue in the future now that Bungie is, independent, but, that was how it was under Activision, and it caused a lot of strain with Bungie. And another thing was that Activision constantly was complaining about the sales of the Destiny franchise. I think Activision has these really, unrealistic expectations for sales. They complained about Black Ops 4 sales too, even though it was the best-selling game of October. It was one of the best-selling games of the year. It was at least top 2, at least from what I know. So they were complaining about the sales of that game, even though it broke sales records. So, of course, Destiny was going to be complained about, which is kind of ridiculous because the game sold well, they did well, and they were huge. I mean, I don't understand what the whole complaint was about, but like I said, Activision had these really unfair expectations, and then on top of that, they just weren't really the best people to work with, caused some strain. Thankfully, Bungie is now free. Hopefully we continue to see greatness from them. So I did my best to wrap this whole thing up for you guys here. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new around here. Follow me on Twitter at @SubToOptimus. Tell me what you think down below. Are you glad Bungie's gone? Do you care about the Destiny franchise as an Activision fan? What's your opinion on this? And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, splitting from Activision and signing out.